the next speaker to the screen, right? This is what I'm going to do now, right? Yeah. So, again, the title is They Are Winning. He's the founder and CEO of SecurityStudio, and his name is Francen. Are you with us? Yes.
I think I am. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you and we can hear you. Can you see me and hear me?
I can, and I love the story.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Where are you coming from? Where are you calling us from?
Just west of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Perfect. So the stage is yours. Have fun.
All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, well, it's good to be here. It's weird doing conferences, online because I can't see people's faces. I can't see if you're reacting. I can't see if you're getting my jokes. Security people have a sort of a dry sense of humor, so sometimes it resonates and sometimes it doesn't. But either way, we've got a lot to get through in a short time to get through it. We'll go ahead and get going. So first things first, I open up every one of my talks this way, and hopefully, this will raise some awareness for some of you who are watching online. The first thing I want to talk about is just mental health. I open up every one of my talks this way, and I do this for a reason, and I'm going to show you sort of at the end of this. Even before COVID-19, mental illness was a big deal. It was increasing amongst adults. Our youngest generations are the ones who are sort of suffering with it the most. And the reason why I bring this up is because we have a stigma where people don't talk openly about these things. And I think talking openly about these struggles, when you look at the number of people, 1 billion people in the world who are struggling with some sort of a mental disorder, and one person dies every 40 seconds by suicide. Those are things that if we don't just call them front and center and brush them under the rug, nothing gets done. So at least today we brought this up. Why I'm mentioning this? 3 reasons. I hate seeing people suffer, and inevitably some of us are. We go through our ebbs and flows. I think the stigma is BS. I don't know if I can swear on this particular stage, so I'm not going to, but the stigma is crap. And I owe it to some friends, and these are the friends that I owe it to. These are friends that I've lost in this industry, in this career over the years. I've been in this industry for almost 30 years, and these were really, really good people that I miss, and I don't want their memories to just go to waste. So this is a simple puzzle in Robbie's memory. Robbie's the one on the top left. He was an excellent penetration tester, tons of potential, and it caught everybody by surprise. We had no idea that this was going. That's part of that stigma. You don't share it with people. This is just a simple monoalphabetic substitution cipher. So really easy to solve. And if you solve it and email me here, I'll give you a copy of my free book. I like to do this because it shows that you sort of invested some time into it. And it's Robbie's poem. It's kind of pretty, beautiful, I guess. So there you go. That's that. Some people to thank. There's this mental health first aid thing. We did that as a company, and it was an amazing experience. We're not psychiatrists, so we don't treat mental disorders, but being open and honest and I guess noticing things, that's what mental health first aid is all about. So that's that, and we'll get into it. So They're Winning is the title of the talk. Cybersecurity is a global war. Some people get a little freaked out about that, even though that's what it is. So maybe that's a little too harsh. We'll call it a game then. When we say that they're winning the game. And we're going to talk specifically about ransomware, not about when you think about all the battles that are going on, when you talk about nation state, you talk about, some of the cyber gangs, you talk about I just call them thugs, some of the things happening within our own industry, some of the infighting. There's lots of different games going on, lots of different wars. We're going to just focus on ransomware in this talk so that we can get through it in my time allotted. So we'll call it a global game. Maybe that's better. Maybe that sits better with you. Focusing on ransomware, the ransomware community, and you've seen it in the news just like I have, we do get the opportunity, for those of us who are on the incident response side of things. Where I sit today, I don't actively do incident responses like I used to. Now there's a team that I interact with on a regular basis. I do more of the PR things, but I see all these things that are happening. And the community is winning. The ransomware community is winning, and I would say not even winning, they're embarrassing us. They're pretty far ahead. So what we'll talk about quickly is we'll go through who are they, who are the opponents. When we talk about us, I think of us as being us, and I call them ignorant. And ignorant isn't a bad word. It just means that they're uneducated. They don't know what's going on. It's us and the ignorant folks against the ransomware community, right? And so that's us and that's them. But we'll talk a little more specifically about those opponents that we're playing on this big game board with, who we are, our players. Are we losing? I'm assuming, and many of us are probably just assuming we are losing, but what is the score if we are losing? Can we get back in the game? I know that CISA here in the United States earlier this week announced a new website and some new resources for ransomware awareness and readiness, but we've tried this before. We've done the awareness thing many, many times. Sometimes people don't learn until it actually hurts. Sadly, we're trying to keep people from getting hurt. But can we get back in the game? And then just a quick case study to drive our point. Not even a ransomware attack, actually. I'm going to talk about the Solarwinds attack. Just there were some telling signs there about when we wrap this all together. And then what happens if we don't get our stuff together? So our opponents, they are skilled, well organized for sure, highly motivated. Most of them belong to what we call APT groups, advanced persistent threat groups. None of this is really rocket science. None of this is earth-shattering stuff. They operate mostly out of China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and the Middle East. And we have a couple of other globs that we call other, and another glob that we don't really know, to be honest. Lots of different names for the same group. So when you look at what CrowdStrike might call them versus what FireEye might call them versus what Symantec might call them, a bunch of different names for the same group. And that's sort of frustrating for me because somebody will refer to it as a name that I've never heard of before, so then you have to eat whatever. And I wonder why we do that. I wonder why we don't just come together as just let's name it this so that everybody is on the same page. I wonder if we'd just like to keep things complicated, or maybe we think that there's some sort of additional money and reward if we have our own name. Maybe it's just ego. I'm not really sure. So, but there are different names. So I'm going to go through that real quick. China, more than 80 groups, known groups, probably closer to 90-ish, a little more. Russia, more than 20. North Korea, about 10. Iran, almost 30. 18-ish from the Middle East. 70 of other origins, meaning different places, and then 35-ish that, and this is the ones that I know about, we know about. I'm sure there are more, and maybe your list is more extensive. Maybe your list isn't. Maybe this is an eye-opener to you. This is one of the lists that we use. This is an open source list that I'm going to give you the link. So if you want, it's an excellent resource to have on hand as you're doing your own incident response, or if you're just curious and you want to research some of these things. But this is just what China looks like. You look across the top, you can see CrowdStrike, Kaspersky, SecureWorks. They've all got different names. Mandiant is probably the leader in terms of the names that get referred to or referenced the most in the news with those APT numbers. But anyway, that's China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, the Middle East, other actors. These are that other bucket that could fit in all kinds of different places potentially, and unknown, unmapped actors, which is that list continues to get longer and longer. So most of the techniques and the tools that are used by, really, when you look at this list, so that link that I'm providing here, the APT groups and operations list, is a very good, like I said, very good list to go back and reference on a regular basis. It also has some attack techniques. It has tools that are commonly used by the APT groups. So almost some IOCs there. So it helps you with your own incident response for sure. But one of the things you'll find in going through most of this is the techniques and the tools are not that sophisticated. I don't think they're as sophisticated as we give them credit for. We talk about our opponents who we're playing this game against. but they work, and they work consistently. This is a money-driven industry for sure. Biggest return on the investment, so the easiest way in, the easiest way to get money, quickest, least expensive, the best. That's what's going to happen. So latest trends are really mobile device ransoms and ransomware as a service. Those are both, significant upticks. So that's our opponent, sort of. Again, we don't have a lot of time to dig deep into each one of these, but this is a resource that I would certainly recommend that you utilize and dig deep a little bit yourself so that you know who you're defending against. What's their objective? So when you talk about the game, what they're going for is money, right? When you talk about nation state, it's typically money or power or something else, maybe asset accumulation, something out there. But here, ransomware specifically, I think money is definitely the king. You can see over the last couple of years, $8 billion to a $20 billion. We're not very good in our industry of gathering data. Most of the studies that are done in our industry have a bias to them. So you have to take a lot of this with a grain of salt. But we do know, and we inherently see it in our own work, that this is increasing. It's not going away until we remove that return on investment, until we make it not worth their time. So who are we? Our players. We're skilled, organized, highly motivated too. I work with a lot of really, really good security people. I know a lot of good security people. We are, though, on the defense, and I think defense is harder. We've heard it before. We only have to be it wrong once, and it leads to the bad things happening. So defense is harder. We also have our hands tied on a number of different things. We have to play by the rules. They don't care about the rules, right? They don't care about offending you. They don't care about using, things that are distasteful, maybe things that are offensive, to carry out their attacks. Whereas we kind of can't do that. We have ethics, we have morals. We fight ignorance. We've all got management. I'm sure we've run into those times when management just doesn't get it, or the people that we're trying to work with don't get it. And when I say they're ignorant, it's not a knock on them. I think a lot of times it's a knock on us. We're not communicating well enough, and it's not resonating with them. So when I say fighting ignorance, it's not meant to be offensive. It's just what it is. And we deal with this unrelenting technology demands from the business, right? We continue to adopt new technologies faster than our ability to secure it. And certainly faster than our ability to use it responsibly, right? So we're fighting all these things, and the attackers are relentless, right? They're coming at us all the time. And some of us are very good players. There are some of us, it's just like any other population of people. We're all at different levels of maturity. By some estimates, we have 3.5 to 4 million players. Allegedly, we need a bunch more. And I say allegedly because I know people that have tried to get into this industry that have struggled. Lots of different reasons for that. We could do a whole talk on that too. So are we losing? So that's them. That's us, briefly. And are we losing? The short answer is yeah, we are losing. The score looks something like this using statistics and studies. Again, biased for the most part. Because usually they're sponsored by somebody who's trying to sell something. The largest known ransomware payment to date, the record earlier this year, CNA Financial, $40 million US. That's a good payday for whoever collected that. The average ransom has increased from 5,000 in 2018 to 200,000 in 2020. And if you've been in the incident response side of things, the dwell time has also increased. Attackers are in the environment for a longer period of time. If they can find your insurance policy or data about your insurance policy, that's great because then they'll ask for a payment that fits within that policy. That's becoming more and more common. Since 2016, 4,000 ransomware attacks per day on average. That's a lot of ransomware attacks. These are automated attacks. They're now ransomware as a service for $195. I can go get my own kit and with little or no skill and deploy today. Average downtime from a ransomware attack is 21 days. Lots of small businesses don't recover from that. And I don't know if you've ever had it's a really bad feeling when you sit across the table from a president of a company or a CEO of a company, and you know that they're not going to recover. Business is not going to exist anymore. That happens, and it's happening more often. Half the successful ransomware attacks, at least 20 computers. 80% who paid the ransomware attacked again. We knew that because if you have a propensity to pay once, you probably pay again. And we've seen too many times where the original attack vector was never closed. There was an attack on an Exchange server that had port 3389 open, which is RDP. Their MSP, they paid the ransom, got things back, but never closed RDP on the Exchange server or changed the password. So within a day, it was ransomed again. That's not uncommon either. So this is the score, sort of. 29% of ransomware victims were forced to remove jobs afterwards. That stinks. That money you pay in a ransom should be paid in propelling your business, moving it forward. 2020, 560 healthcare facilities. There was rumors last year. I don't know if you heard about it, but there was a rumor 437 hospitals were going to be attacked within the same time period, roughly a week, with ransomware. That didn't materialize, so that's good because I think we would have been in really bad shape if it did happen.
So we have 1 more minute, so we need to wrap it up.
Oh, I have to go faster. All right, let me go faster. All right, so we're losing. You got that. All right, how do we get back in the game? Let's use sports as an example. Fundamentals. It's always fundamentals, and nobody likes to really hear that because fundamentals aren't all that sexy, but fundamentals. It always comes down to fundamentals. And just, sports analogies, when we look at sports players, what sets them apart, the champions from the losers, is their ability to master the fundamentals. So fundamentals, define information security. Ask others, what is your definition of information security? We take that for granted, but it's absolutely fundamental. Roles and responsibilities. You can't secure what you don't know you have. Asset management is a big play. So we did a recent study with states here in the United States where we did an attack surface analysis, all using public data. This is what it looked like. The states didn't know, and we're still working through explaining this to them. So 183,000 assets across 50 state domains. All right, so other things, you can't secure what you can't control. So start with asset management, then go to configuration control, change control, asset access control, network control, so on and so forth. And you can't manage what you can't measure. You got to put some sort of measurement in this so you know you're making progress. Most of the ransomware attacks, phishing campaigns, RDP, software vulnerabilities, so patching, closing RDP, multi-factor authentication, and people will continue to be phished. The SolarWinds case study, I'll go through this really quick. You all heard about SolarWinds. One of the big things that came out of that was Senator Wyden from Oregon in the Senate hearing afterwards had asked the panelists if a properly configured firewall would have stopped or mitigated the SolarWinds attack. And the answer is yes, a properly configured one, right? Egress and ingress. That's not what happened. The IRS actually had it right, believe it or not. And the reason, the telling piece here was operationally cumbersome. So Kevin Mandia was the one who said this. In theory, it's a sound thing, but it's academic. In practice, it's operationally cumbersome. So using a tool the way it's designed to prevent attacks is operationally cumbersome. That's a problem. So what happens if we don't get our stuff together? Expect a heck of a lot more of this. And expect it to get worse and expect it to hurt more. They're getting better. I'm not sure we are. All right, that's all I've got. Thank you.